Hi everyone, welcome to Advanced Provisions. This video is designed to help you with the final project. So what you will be required to do each week, starting the first week of the course and ending the final week of the course, is complete one step of your final project. So that way, rather than waiting until the end to create some type of a product, you will be chipping away at it each week. So the final project itself consists of 5 steps. You will start by completing the first step during week 1 and then the last step during the final week of the course. You will notice though that the second to last week of the course, you will not be submitting a step for the final project. Instead, you will be focusing on completing step 5, which is the progress monitoring step. So there will be one step of the course, the second to last week, where you will not complete a step of the final project. So in order to begin, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about different ways to do the final project. The final project is designed to be a compilation of lesson plans that you are hopefully currently using in your practice or going to be using in the coming weeks. And what we want to do is we want you to collaborate with an education specialist, a program specialist, or another individual at your school site with a background, specifically an education specialist credential, and they will help you or give you some information about how to modify and accommodate students with special needs in your class. Now, some of you may be saying, well, I'm at a remote site. I don't have anybody with whom I can collaborate. Okay, that's actually that's okay. What you can do though is for completing each of these steps, you can actually research ways to accommodate or modify your materials based on the specific needs of students with special needs in your class. We may not always have an individual with whom we can collaborate or bounce ideas off of. So therefore, we need to do a little bit of research ourselves. So this requires that each of you understand the special needs that your students possess, but also understand their special strengths as well. And then that way you can create accommodations and modifications on your lesson plan. So something else you may be thinking is, well, I'm very, very busy and our specialist is very busy, so I don't know how I'm going to have time to discuss this with him or her. Well, the reality is that a lot of collaboration can actually take place via email or via phone calls. Obviously, face-to-face collaboration is ideal, it is the best. But the whole goal is just to kind of get you to take your lesson plan and run it by someone with a background in this particular area and get some ideas as to how you can accommodate students with special needs in your classroom. So when it comes to teaching, we should not be teaching in a vacuum. We should be collaborating with others. This project will cause you or force you to do that. Hopefully you're already doing that. But this will definitely be one of those projects that will require you to kind of branch out and discuss the project and the lessons with your fellow colleagues. So first, let's talk a little bit about different ways you can do the project. What I'm going to do in a moment is actually share my screen, and you're going to be looking at the course modules so that I can show you a little bit about where you can find information about the final project, different ways in which to complete the final project as well. Now, the great thing about the final project is that you can be totally creative. If you feel as though you need more details and more examples, that's actually done intentionally. We want you to figure out a creative way to compile these lessons and these steps that we'll be completing each week, so that way by the end of the course, you not only have a research to which you can refer to in the future, but also a resource that you can share with your fellow colleagues as well. Okay, so let me share my screen just a moment. Okay, so what you should see now is the course shell in Canvas. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, you will see information about the final project itself. So this very first link is just some background information on the final project, what you're being asked to do, and it gives you some ideas. You can create a Prezi that contains the steps from each week. You can create an online or electronic portfolio, which shows the steps for each week. And that's actually a nice little link to this guy right here. So I'd like to thank Angel Harper, a former student, for sharing her work. And she's given permission for me to share it with all of you. Now, let's say, for example, each week, or what you will be doing is you will be completing each step. Let's say you just want to create an old-fashioned handbook that by the end of the course you could physically print out each step and then put it in a binder, or maybe photocopy it and give it to your colleagues. That's actually fine. So in that case, what you would want to do, let me minimize my screen, is just create a little folder right here. Okay, so create a folder maybe called Advanced Provisions, and then in here you would have each of your final project steps. So you'll see here where I have final project example of a step 1, and as I finish that, boom, I would upload that to Canvas, and there's my step 1 for week 1. Step 2 rolls around, here's my step 2. So this is what I would upload to Canvas, okay? Now, one of the things that you will notice is that Angel highlighted accommodations and modifications for her focus students. So what that does is that rather than just submitting a lesson plan, what it shows your instructor is that you have gone back, you have taken your focus students' needs into account, or your students with special needs into account, and you have highlighted various aspects of the lesson that are designed to include an accommodation or designed to include a modification for that specific student. Okay, so let me minimize this here. So that's one option, is to just submit each step each week to Canvas, and then at the end, you would be able to print out all of these steps if you'd like, and then share it with your colleagues. Now, keep in mind, you are not going to be required to physically print this out and send it to your instructor. This is all done electronically and digitally, so you don't have to worry about that. But that is an option for you. So let's say, though, you're a little bit more techie, and you would like to try to implement more of those 21st century skills. Here is an example right here of a final project that was completed online. And what I'm going to do is, you can actually click on it here, but I have it up here already for you. And it's going, that link that is in Canvas is going to take you to this final project. So what was done here is that using Google Docs, which is a free resource, if you wanted to do this yourself, you would just type in Google Docs, create a free Gmail account, and you would click here on Google Docs, okay? So in order to create something like Angel created, you would use the project proposal template and then build it from there, okay? And what you would have to do, though, is that as you create each step each week, you would need to make sure and upload that file to Google Drive, so that that way when you embed the links into the final project itself, those links are functional. So when you click on the link, it takes you right to the lesson, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So you will see down here that Angel's final project, step 1, is shown on this particular template. Okay, so let's say we're at the end of week 1, she's completed week 1. What she could do if she was a student in, say, my course, when she was, is that she could share a link to this particular Google document with me in Canvas when she submits her assignment. So that way I can just click on that link and it's going to take me right to her final project if she'd like to build upon it each week, so that by the time she gets to the end of the class, she has completed the project. So this is her step 1. In step 2, she just adds right on to that same document, that same template. And again, you can do this with a PowerPoint, you can do this with Prezi, you could create your own website and then upload the lessons with the modifications and the accommodations to a website. It's entirely up to you. So for step 2, you'll notice that here's the prompt, what you guys are being asked to do. And then right here, she has embedded a link to her differentiated social studies lesson plan for week 2. So if you click on this particular document, it takes you right to her lesson plan that she created, again, with the highlighted accommodations and modifications for her focus student, JC. Okay, so in order for this to work, though, she had to upload this particular document to Google Drive, and then she embedded the link into her template. Okay, so she did the same thing with steps 3, 4, and then 5. It's right down here. So anytime you upload one of the documents or one of the steps to Google Drive, you could actually share a link with your instructor so that your instructor could click on that link and be taken immediately to your final project if you're going to build it in Google Drive or in Google Docs, I should say. Now, that being said, again, you don't have to do it this way. You could definitely just upload each step as a Word document each week, and then at the end, you would just have the option of printing it out or maybe emailing that folder to yourself or to colleagues if you wanted to share your final project. So again, the goal of the final project is twofold. One, to get you to collaborate with an education or a resource specialist or program specialist on the special needs of your students. The second goal of the project is that you will have a resource to which you can refer in the future that has examples of nice lessons with accommodations, with modifications for students with special needs. And this is a resource that hopefully you will share with your colleagues, okay? So going back to the modules, again, right here, you have an example of an entire completed final project, okay, if you'd like to refer to it. You also, down below, have examples of each step of the final project. So week 1, step 1 is due. There's step 1. There's a nice little example for you. Week 2, step 2 is due, and then you'll complete step 2. Okay, as I said earlier, the second to last week, you do not have, so in module 5, you do not have one of your steps due for the final project, okay? So basically there are 5 steps of the final project and 6 weeks of the course, okay? So for steps 1 through 4, you will complete those during weeks 1 through 4, but the final step, step 5, will not be due until week 6. Module 6, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to email myself or your instructor. Again, make this fun, be creative. You can definitely use the techie 21st century skills options. However, if you just would rather stick to maybe Word documents and having the option of printing out your lessons at the end of the course and putting them, say, in a resource binder for yourself or for others, that's fine too. What we want you to know, though, is that you do have options, and it's designed to be fun, and we want you to have fun with it and be creative, okay? So I will stop sharing my screen. Again, feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the final project.